spirituality, I cannot elevate myself. In Islam, we talk about plane elevation rather than point elevation.
Okay.
Where you are, everything around you, around your plane, if you want to move up, everything has to go with you.
Mm-hmm. Because it's all interconnected.
Because of that interconnectedness.
If you were going to move up in part, it would be like removing your brain from your body and sending your brain to a higher level, but leaving
which is impossible.
Which is impossible, yeah. Because the brain requires the body in order to live.
Yeah, I mean, once you accepted the notion that you are part of this plane, everything that around you is part of you, so individualistic elevation in one's spirituality is practically impossible. Mm. You either go up together or you stay together.
To a point you mentioned earlier, though, that it's working from the bottom up. I have met so many people who think religion is something you get when you go to a service or a ritual or what have you, instead of seeing what happens communally as the combination and the integration of those 6 different sides or however many different members. That we come together to create something together that none of us can create individually. But it starts with the individual.
Yeah, but that kind of understanding of religion goes back to how religion was, in the post-Enlightenment particularly, was redefined as a category, and it was privatized. Once it was privatized put in a box, you take it out during special ceremonies early in the morning on Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, or any day, and that is your religion. Then you go back. Then that's to be accepted or expected, at least, that this kind of understanding comes out of it.
Okay, but let's see if we can translate that down into more layman's language, because I know there's probably a lot of people watching who aren't as familiar with post-Enlightenment, postmodern, some of the terms we're using. Before, or initially, religion was something that was done in a public sort of way that included everyone, that was part of how you lived every moment of your life.
Yes.
When it was privatized, as you say, it's as if the church became the administrators of it and decided where it did and didn't happen and how it happened, and suddenly it wasn't the combination or the synthesis of everybody working together. It was imposed and directed by what somebody in administration thought was the best approach.
Or it had no contribution to make in what we call today public space, where everyone lived.
Okay.
Once it was privatized. Which is
different than separating the discussion of separating, I think they call it religion and state.
Church and state, yeah.
Church and state.
That's totally different.
That's a different issue.
This is something that it's a point of contention. Church and state separation does not preclude religion or state to have dialogue with each other for the betterment.
Public practice of religion does not mean that the state will make laws respecting that religion.
Yes. That the public sphere or public space is enriched by this dialogue between what we loosely define as church and we loosely define as state. Mm-hmm. The privatization of religion, which is a foundation of what we today call secularist theory or secularism theory, is totally different, which means push religion out of public sphere. It's a private matter in your heart and in your mind. It's something that you do however you want to practice it by yourself in your own private space.
So in a sense, it's asking people to put on a disguise so that when we're in public, I won't know which religion you are.
Exactly.
Or which religion you practice.
Yeah. It should not have any participation.
You wind up censoring yourself.
Well, that's exactly...
when censoring would be the opposite of the dialogue.
No, you live in constantly this duality of having a private kind of space for yourself that you define yourself under that private space and religion, and a public sphere and space which is totally independent of what's going on in your private space. This is our criticism, that this so-called religion that right at the beginning of its inception came to liberate, came to uplift the spirit, came to connect.
Which every religion makes that
right
claim.
from the beginning. Right from the beginning, they all make such a claim that to interconnect, create community, bring feeling, love, compassion, and so on. If you suddenly isolate it in a box, what happened to the essence of that faith? It's absent.